Hello, this is Socially Triggered, and this video is going to be on the new normal. So I'm not sure if they use that term very much outside of Canada, but inside Canada, one of the things that they love to say, especially Trudeau, is the new normal, that this situation that we're in right now is going to be the new normal, and we're not going to leave this situation, and it's always going to stay like this pretty much forever. That's the way they talk. It's like, this is the new normal. This is the way life is going to be. And I sort of think about that a lot. The fact that they say this, it always scares me whenever a politician says something like that, where it's like, this is the new normal, where it's some crazy dystopian future that we are now living in, where they make it in their minds a normal. And I think of how humans kind of think, how we sort of we trust, especially when we're in a situation where we need some kind of leadership, like in a crisis. We want somebody to sort of come up and be the leader to guide us to safety. And when you are in that situation, when you're sort of looking for somebody else to lead you to safety, um, you can make really bad decisions. And you actually don't even, it's not even that you make bad decisions, it's that you give up your ability to make decisions for yourself. You end up sort of deferring your decisions to the leader. And that's what we have happening right now. We're sort of not trusting our own common sense, and we're deferring the decision making, the the planning, the way, the thought process to the leaders. And if you look at the leaders that we have, I mean, in Canada or United States or anywhere, um, they really don't know any more than we do. They don't, and in fact, half the time they're contradicting themselves. They're saying one thing, it's not good to wear masks one day, and then it's good to wear masks the next day. We all have to wear masks the next day. You shouldn't close the borders because that's racist one day. The other day, it's we must lock down everything, close the borders. So which is it? We don't know. And the thing is, the media and the government, we're looking to them to guide us, to be that leader, and they don't really know what they're doing. There's no sense, in my opinion, that they know what they're doing. And I look to the way things were handled in South Korea. In South Korea, they actually had one of the earliest outbreaks. It was around, even there just before Italy had its massive breakout and outbreak, I should say, outbreak. So what happened was in Korea, what they did was very sensible. They told people to wash their hands and to socially distance and to cover their mouths with, cough into your elbow. And basically, they quarantined the sick, and anyone that was near the sick, they tested. So they were able to kind of isolate groups of people who were possibly infected. And they also protected elderly care centers. So they actually put in protocols to protect the elderly, because at the time, this is like early February, it was like pretty obvious that those with compromised immune systems, the elderly and the sick, were at higher risk of dying from the disease. So what you do is you protect those who need the protection. And the result was, now they have like less than 300 deaths in Korea total. That's it. And they have a population of about 55 million. So the point is, they actually did common sense things. They didn't lock down. They never had a proper lockdown. The only thing that they did do was they canceled schools. They closed schools for a while because they wanted to just protect the children at first. You protect your children, you protect the elderly. It makes sense, right? And they didn't have that lockdown. They didn't require it. And the new normal happened on its own. The people there, they sort of were paranoid about getting sick, so they avoided other people to a certain extent. They socially distanced naturally. They washed their hands a little bit more, and they did things to protect themselves. Now, they didn't need to lock down the economy. People kind of relied on common sense. And as a result, very few deaths. And without the economic, well, still economically affected, because even with just those social isolation, natural precautions that people take, it does impact the economy. But the point is, they didn't have to destroy their economy. They didn't go heavy handed like we did here in North America, where they just destroyed the economy. Um, so, so I think of, like, how people adapt, and it's amazing how quick people adapt when they're just told, "Hey, there's a crisis. Just be careful." And that's all they need to be told. They don't need to be like locked down or policed to be enforced into submission of some kind. They just naturally do so. And the result was a much better result in Korea compared to what we're experiencing here. We're experiencing bad decisions by the government where they actually put people at risk. One of the reasons why so many people died in New York was a lot of the leaders there were saying, don't be racist, don't avoid this one ethnicity that just happens to have a higher percentage of the disease. At the time, this was like early February. uh, what they were saying is, go out, go to these big Chinese festivals and embrace China, as a culture. And they're really trying to encourage people to gather in big groups with Chinese people. Not a good idea when, Chinese people are potentially the at-risk group. And I'm not saying that to be racist against Chinese people. I have nothing against Chinese people. Just, you know, you don't put yourself at risk. You kind of be smart about it. So that was bad planning. But the thing is, what we've done in a crisis is we've lost our own common sense. We'd be like, well, should we listen to those people? Like the government like is telling us to do these stupid things. Should we listen to them? And instead of making that rational decision to say, hey, don't listen to the idiot that's telling you to do something incredibly stupid, like don't follow the lemming off the cliff, do something rational, we lose that common sense and we act like the lemmings. We just jump off the cliff. And that is what's happening right now. We're all sort of self, we're going extreme with this self isolation, where we're embracing the new normal. And to me, that's the scariest thing. I was at the post office today, and people were kind of weird. They're acting like, a little sketchy. They were like really trying to maintain their distance from everyone else. And they were wearing like extra protection, like, full face masks. Like, I mean, full face masks, like totally covered. Um, and they were wearing gloves, and they were like really being extreme about protecting themselves. And they were saying, oh, it's good that we're locked in. They were actually praising the lockdown as if that was the right decision. And it's the lemming thing, that we're in the process of falling off the cliff, and we're embracing that fall. It's the craziest thing. And I kind of want people to kind of sort of get back to normal, real normal, where they actually think for themselves. And that's kind of what I'm hoping. I'm hoping more people will wake up and just sort of resist the temptation to have others guide them, and start thinking for themselves, and really reject the new normal. Uh, People have a tendency of getting very comfortable in whatever weird situation. I almost see it as like Stockholm syndrome, where you, if you kidnap somebody and you keep them in like some like weird captive state for a really long time. After a while, they'll start identifying with the captors. That's the Stockholm syndrome. Well, right now, that's what's happening in North America. We're all like we're all in this Stockholm syndrome situation where we're we're looking to those captors to guide us and to take care of us, and it's very, very scary. I'm very, like, I've always been kind of rebellious, so I have a tendency of rebelling against the the idea of somebody else leading me and thinking for me. I like to think for myself. So I hope people watching this video are thinking for themselves. I'd love to hear their comments about this video. And so please comment, like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. And check me out in my other videos. And I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks.